Mikasa Sukasa. You Eddie, right?
Yeah.
Look like Eddie Guerrero, man. You like to watch wrestling?
Yep.
Have you ever watched wrestling? On weed? That's the way to see it, man! It's rock!
What up, world? It's your boy Physics, and you know what time it is. It is January 31st. Welcome to the WoW News Joint. On today's episode, we're talking about the Royal Rumble. Sami Zayn's had an interesting WrestleMania dream match and more right after this.
Really? This is my yard now. It doesn't matter what your
What up, world? Your boy Physics is back, and I'm bringing you all the news that has happened over the Royal Rumble weekend. And we have to start with the Royal Rumble proper. First of all, let's start off with the first match of the night, which was Seth freaking Rollins versus Roman Reigns in the singles match for the WWE Universal Championship match. This 14 minutes and 25-second match had a lot of storytelling going on. One of them is everything that Seth Rollins was doing to make a mockery of the Shield, and Roman Reigns snapping due to that. I really enjoyed the match. I really enjoyed Seth Rollins coming out as the former Seth Rollins in the Shield, coming out to the music, going through the crowd. It was just a hell of a way to start the night. But the finish, once I saw he had him in the guillotine, I was like, he is not going to let go. And that's exactly what happened. Kept it on him to the 5 count happened, and he still kept it on him and then beat him with the chair. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said WWE had Roman Reigns do the post-match chair beatdown on Seth Rollins, so they will boo him instead of booing the match finish, which was very smart because that's exactly what happened. But this is the thing. after that happens, people get to think about what the Royal Rumble was. They then will now start booing w- what exactly happened at the end, because we had two um title matches that ended up in DQ. So technically Seth Rollins won the match. Um and it doesn't seem like it can't be done just like this, but it is WWE, so there's no telling if they just go, well, that was it. He got choked out and he doesn't want to have any more problems with Roman Reigns, which would just be stupid because that is not Seth freaking Rollins' character. As far as what he portrays in the ring, it seems like they will still be going on, and possibly the WrestleMania Elimination Chamber match in Saudi Arabia. He'll no. I don't know when they're gonna do this. Maybe Roadblock, one of the pay-per-views before the Saudi Arabia event, because I have news on that as well. But it was just a bad ending. If this was the only DQ or interference in a major match, then I think people would have been okay with this. They would have understood the storyline, everything going on, especially because, he beat him with a chair the same way that Seth Rollins hit him and Dean Ambrose, aka John Moxley, with the chairs when he broke up the Shield. So it all made sense storyline wise, which made me hype. But as the night went on, everything just kind of crumbled under the pressure of what they were doing. Following that was the 30-woman Royal Rumble match for a women's championship match at WrestleMania 38. This is the longest bout of the night, which was 59 minutes and 40 seconds, 20 seconds short of an hour. And our last two were Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. And Ronda Rousey won by eliminating Charlotte Flair, who is the SmackDown Women's Champion at the moment. There was a lot going on in this. Shout out to everybody that came back. You had Cameron, you had Alicia Fox, you had the Bella twins come back, you had Ivory, who at 60 years old, the fact that she decided to take a bump, I feel like she is the oldest woman to be in the Women's Royal Rumble. Um, the fact that, if you really think about her history, she was in Glow in the 80s, and now like she's still wrestling now, like that's just crazy to me. And of course, all the moms that participated tonight, that participated at the Royal Rumble that night, especially Sarah Logan and Ronda Rousey, because they just had their kids. And the fact that Ronda Rousey is fully back on. Sarah Logan was the biggest surprise due to the fact that she just had a kid and she got released by WWE. So I wasn't expecting to see her back. She wasn't in there long. There was a brief connection with Liv Morgan. And of course, Ruby Riott, now that she's with AEW, sent out a tweet, because you all know, like, they are truly connected. They all have the same tattoos when their group was formed together. So they're always bonded together. So it was a nice moment there. But what's the biggest pop in the night wasn't Ronda Rousey. It wasn't the return of the Bella twins. It wasn't Lita. The biggest pop of the night was the Impact Knockout Women's Champion Mickey James. I think, and when I say of the night, I mean of the whole night. Not even the men's had a huger pop than when she came out. She came out to Hardcore Country, which is her TNA thing. They did not revert back to the WWE thing, which I think was a very smart thing. She came out with the belt on. She looked great. I kind of wish she would have been in the final four just to give that feeling of like something could happen. But that wasn't the case. And of course, once Ronda came in, she just basically cleared clean house. But I don't think it would have been an issue if that was the case. Speaking of the Bella twins, PW Insider says there's a belief that we probably see more Nikki and Brie Bella for WrestleMania 38. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess that they are going to probably go against the women's tag team champions for at WrestleMania. It seems like that would be the smartest thing, and possibly put those belts on the Bella since they never had them. Ronda will be on Raw tonight, and it looks like it will set up Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Rousey will be considered as part of the SmackDown brand going forward, according to Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is very interesting due to the fact that technically, Ronda Rousey's never beat Becky Lynch. She has beaten Charlotte Flair, but it seems like she's ducking her, uh, which also makes it very interesting of what's going to go on with to big time Bex, but it looks like it's going to be Ronda versus Charlotte Flair. I mean, Ronda's taking that belt off Charlotte Flair. I just don't see Charlotte winning that. So that's the route we're going. Everybody kind of saw it. Everybody in the group knew that once Ronda Rousey was kind of confirmed, rumored to be in the Royal Rumble, she was going to win, and that's exactly what happened. But speaking of big time Bex, we had the singles match for the WWE Women's Championship. Becky Lynch defeating Doudrop by pinfall in 13 minutes. It was a decent match. I liked a lot what I saw. I feel like they could have done more. But it seems like I feel like almost everybody was pressed for time. Because as soon as the women's Royal Rumble was done, I was looking at the time and I was like, we are definitely going over 11 o'clock because there's nowhere they're going to be able to finish this, and we still had 3 matches left, and that was exactly the case. Decent match, but now that Becky Lynch won, and it seems that Ronda Rousey's going after Charlotte Flair. What is Big Time Bex going to do? There's most likely going to be a women's elimination chamber match in Saudi Arabia. I'm gonna have to guess. I'd rather they probably do their elimination chamber match somewhere else so they can just technically be themselves, and that's basically it. Technically be themselves rather than being Saudi Arabia do it. If I had to guess, I'm gonna say the person that she took the belt off of, and that will be Bianca Belair. Every time they faced each other, there has been some dirty tactic that Becky used to beat her. She has not beaten Bianca Belair clean. So it just seems like the best thing, especially because during the Women's Royal Rumble, Bianca Belair, for the second time in a row, was the Iron Woman. She was the person that was in the Royal Rumble the longest last year and this year. Feel like they did that to build up how good she is. And I feel like she will be facing Becky Lynch for the belt. And 2 years in a row, she's the Iron Woman. And if she wins again, she'll be 2-0 at WrestleMania. I think that fits a good narrative, and I wouldn't be surprised if they might try to start a streak with Bianca Belair. These kind of how these things go. You win 2, next thing you know it's 3, and next time we look up, Bianca Belair has 6 to 8 under her belt when it comes into WrestleMania. So it looks good. I wish, and I'm kind of sad that we're not getting Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks Part 2 due to how big that was when they faced each other. I mean, they won an SB for a biggest WWE moment. I feel like it would have happened again, but we're going to have to wait to see what goes on between Becky Lynch and who's going to go after her Raw Women's Championship. Next match we had was Bobby Lashley defeating Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship match in 10 minutes and 15 seconds. I felt like that promo package was almost half. That promo package was like 5 minutes, and for the match to be 10 minutes, I mean, that was just 20 minutes by itself when it comes to that match. So really good match for 10 minutes. The unfortunate thing about the match, everything was good until Roman Reigns came in. And of course, we had the turn. Paul Heyman is now back with the Tribal Chief, which then leads to everything that happened later on that night. We all kind of felt, as far as the group and the whole Raw Nation crew between Two-Face, Trav, Layla, and I, that Brock Lesnar was going to lose because we all know that Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar was happening at Mania. Due to it happening at Mania, somebody had to drop the belt. Roman Reigns wasn't going to be the one to drop the belt, so it had to be Brock. They wanted to protect him, and they wanted it to lead to Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. But the sad thing is, once Roman Reigns inserted himself, we all knew what was going to happen the rest of the night. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. Bobby Lashley beat him, but he didn't beat him clean. I would have rather Bobby Lashley beat Brock Lesnar clean. Then after he gets beaten, have Roman Reigns come down, hit him with a chair. He gets booed. That pisses off Brock Lesnar. Boom, we started off from there. But the fact that he lost because of Roman Reigns, it just puts a bad taste in the mouth when it comes to what we were looking forward to in as far as the end of the night. The next match, the filler match, unfortunately, was the mixed tag team match. It was Edge and Beth Phoenix versus The Miz and Maurice. Of course, you know who won. Edge and Beth Phoenix, 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Match was a lot better than I thought. There were a few times where I thought at The Miz and Maurice were going to win, especially after the Skull Crusher finale, getting hit with the brick. It seemed like they were really building up that The Miz was going to win. Which I wouldn't have been surprised if that was the case. I think Two Face picked The Miz and Maurice. I wouldn't have been surprised if they did, but it didn't happen. Edge and Beth Phoenix won. Hopefully, this feud is done, and we get the dream match that everybody's been talking about, which is Edge versus AJ Styles. That's a WrestleMania match. You got to give them man time to do exactly what they need to do. So hopefully that happens. Now, well, Russell Vogt also says when it comes to I'll break that down a little bit later. But 30-man Royal Rumble for the World Championship match at WrestleMania 38 and 51 minutes and 10 seconds. Brock Lesnar won by last eliminating Drew McIntyre. Brock Lesnar came in at 30. Once you heard his music, you knew exactly what was going to happen. Everybody stared all crazy in the ring. Like some of them act like they never seen Brock Lesnar in the ring with them. The only real surprise was Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, as usual, did great. And he took an F5 and then got thrown out the ring by Brock Lesnar. So shout out to him. Speaking of Bad Bunny, this will be the only thing he does. He was only there for the Royal Rumble. He has a concert on both nights of WrestleMania. There was rumor that they were going to possibly build up for Shane McMahon versus Bad Bunny. Shane McMahon has a match on the books, but it was said to have not been finalized a few days ago. Which is evidently why they did no angle with him and why there was no angle between Bad Bunny and himself. There were time constraints to the end of the men's Royal Rumble match, although the basic idea was for Lesnar to destroy everyone at the end. And of course, that's exactly what happened. We had the Kofi Kingston spot. We all know that every Royal Rumble that he has a crazy spot where he's about to get eliminated, but he stays in. That's exactly what happened between Naomi and Sonya Deville. And speaking of that, Naomi and Sonya Deville is the longest storytelling they have done. The fact that they have been able to keep Sonya and Naomi away from each other this long shows that WWE can do long-term booking. They just choose not to. Because they're going to eventually have to face each other. It might be WrestleMania, it might be before that, but the fact they haven't even really fought each other in an actual match, it's kind of crazy. They're building this up for something, and I'm looking forward to it due to everything they've done. But yeah, but back to what I was talking about. Brian Alvarez mentions Kofi Kingston wasn't supposed to be eliminated when he was, and there were spots planned with Big E later in the match. But that's the thing. The Royal Rumble is exciting because anything can happen. The fact that you have a bunch of people going over the rope and then having a thing like they're about to go outside, but then sometimes they slip or they do something stupid. Sometimes people self-eliminate themselves because they don't like how they're going to get booked. So they just jump out the ring and go from there. So you never know exactly what's going to happen when it comes to the Royal Rumble, which makes it fun. Reservoir says WWE legitimately has no idea what the WWE title match at WrestleMania is going to be at this point. Like we said, we all know it's going to be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. But when it comes to Bobby Lashley, the rumor at this point is it's going to be Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins. But that's just speculation. This will all get squared away at the Elimination Chamber match in Saudi Arabia. I feel like if it is Seth Rollins is definitely going to win. I have no idea. I feel like things are not done between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. So I don't know where they go from there. Seth Rollins just leaves and then faces Bobby Lashley. Just kind of seems dumb as far as storytelling goes. According to Wrestling Observer, there was a lot of complaints about predictability, but the reality is WWE's booking January through WrestleMania is almost always predictable in the sense they've set in motion the key matches, and Royal Rumble is there to build those matches. So as far as the winners go, there are only a few possibilities. The lack of compelling stories in matches and no new stars who didn't win being made is a valid complaint. Yeah, unless WWE starts doing a thing where I mean, like I said, we picked Ronda Rousey, we picked Brock Lesnar. I'm the only one that didn't. I just wanted something exciting. Shout out to Mickey James because she's the only person to go through the Forbidden Door. There was nobody else. There was a lot of rumors of AEW stars, but that just seemed like that was never going to happen. WWE, the wrestlers backstage don't like AEW, so that was just never going to work. Everything going on in Japan kind of meant that nobody from New Japan was going to be able to come over here. Unless they use some people from New Japan Strong or those that are here that are working at Impact. But there was no Jay White. There was nobody from Bullet Club. So we didn't have any of that. We didn't even have Finn Balor, but he supposedly wasn't even in town. So, we definitely weren't going to have Finn Balor. But it's just, it is what it is. Unless WWE goes, all right, the whole internet knows this is who we're picking. We're going to go a different route. Then that'll be the case. But due to it being connected to WrestleMania, they have to have the biggest stars winning. A lot of people complain about, oh, why was it Ronda Rousey? I think even Laylo complained about why was it Ronda Rousey. But I was like, you pick Ronda Rousey to win it, so you already knew what was going to happen. It wasn't like it was going to change. Ronda Rousey was going to be there. I feel like Ronda Rousey doesn't need to win a Royal Rumble to make, her wrestling in the Royal Rumble, her wrestling in WrestleMania even bigger. The fact that she's going to face Charlotte Flair I feel negates the fact that she needed to win the Royal Rumble. You could have just had Charlotte Flair win it. Now you have the SmackDown Women's Champion. She won it. So technically she wouldn't need to face Becky Lynch, but she can just go, you know what? I'm a champion. I'll just face myself and I don't have to face anybody. And that's when Ronda Rousey comes out and confronts her. We could have did that on SmackDown, or we could have did that the next night on Raw. Because wrestlers jump programs all the time. They easily could have done it without her winning and had somebody else win it. So we know who exactly was going to face Becky Lynch due to Charlotte Flair being in there, because everything pointing from what has happened over the week was going to be Lita versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. From now, it looks like Lita was only there to build up the Royal Rumble. All her beefs and everything with her, unless they're going to have a match before then, and maybe we get a triple threat match if Lita wins and it's Lita versus Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. But hope they're not done with that feud. It just seems, because the person that eliminated Lita was Charlotte Flair. It just seems like that is the natural route. But if Ronda Rousey is going with Charlotte Flair, it just seems like you might need to protect Charlotte Flair until the WrestleMania match. So it's just one of those things where I have no idea what WWE is going to do as far as WrestleMania. For our next news story, Sami Zayn wanted a ladder match with Jeff Hardy. In his podcast interview with Les Interpas de la Lutte by TVA Sports, he stated that I had spoken with creative about a storyline with Jeff Hardy. Jeff was one of my heroes when I was a teenager. He was one of my biggest inspirations when I started. My idea was to have a ladder match against him at WrestleMania. Had a big storyline planned in my head, but unfortunately 2 weeks after speaking with creative about it, he was fired, which is very interesting news because WWE is still trying to get in contact with Jeff Hardy to work with him to make sure he does not go to AEW. Because I think if he does, it's March 9th when his contract is up, which if that's the case, March 9th, which is a Wednesday, he would sign that contract and then he would show right there on Dynamite, which would not be a good look. That would kind of suck a lot of wind of what is going on between, because we all know March is WrestleMania country time. Like, we're on our road to WrestleMania. Here we go. And I know they want no big stories to happen, and especially if the Hardy brothers are back together. It's just going to boost the tag team division in AEW. So they're trying their best to send as much money. My thing is, like I said last episode, they should have waited before they made the decision. They drug tested him. It seems like the drug test came back clean. So what they should have done was just waited, see what the drug test said, and then made their decision. The fact they fired him and now they're scrambling to try to bring him back is not a good look. And I think at this moment, through all the ups and downs that Jeff had when he came back, especially what they did with Matt, they kind of neutered Matt when he came in. there's just no reason for him to go back at all. In our next news, we have unfortunate news. Lio Rush was taken to the ER after suffering an injury at PWG's Battle of Los Angeles event, BOLA. In a second-round match, Rush defeated Buddy Matthews by disqualification, a rarity in PWG. The finish had Matthews laying out Rush with a curb stomp, and as the referee checked on Rush, Matthews continued to attack until the match was called off. When it came to it, Lio Rush wrote on Twitter, "Just being honest with you guys here, I'm not good, but I will be good. And when I'm back, I'll be dangerous. Hashtag man of the hour." Wish that man a speedy recovery. From all the pictures and videos I've seen, it didn't look good, especially being hurt and then somebody attacking you at the same time, because they get caught up. So even if you say, hey, hold on, they might not be able to hear you, especially if the crowd's being loud. So speedy recovery for Lio Rush. If you know, he's one of the biggest supporters of Wrestler Known. We he's our first interview we did with a wrestler. So shout out to him, and hopefully he has a speedy recovery. Now it's time for some quick hits. Deserba knows there were a lot of former wrestlers who were called to work the Royal Rumble matches and turned it down. As mentioned the last time, the Iconics were one, and they said, hell no. Jillian Hall, Kaitlyn, and Oksana were in St. Louis for WWE, but were not put in the Royal Rumble match. Kurt Angle was also there, and he was also not in the match. I really thought Kaitlyn and Oksana were going to be a part of it, but it's kind of surprised they weren't. Because I feel like everybody was dressed up and they just decided who was going to go. Of course, there was a bunch of women from NXT that were up there as well. We didn't see anybody from NXT, which was very interesting. So usually that also tells us who's going to be next up, who's going up, especially Raquel Gonzalez. She's kind of in a holding pattern. So you would have thought she would have showed up, but we didn't have her either. I didn't really think we were going to see Kurt Angle, and that's exactly what happened. Bobby Horn, who was Mo of the Man on a Mission tag team, was in ICU yesterday due to COVID, coming off a recent liver transplant. So wishing him nothing but the best as well. And Angel Garza put out a video knowing that he and his wife are expecting a child. If you remember, he proposed to his wife at NXT after winning the Cruiserweight Championship in 2019. Now, it was a Monday, so you know exactly what's about to happen. Let's talk about what's going on tonight at Raw. The post-Royal Rumble edition of WWE Raw will air live tonight from Heritage Bank Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. Expect some people to bring up the Bengals because the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. Tonight's Raw will be a loaded show with the return of Ronda Rousey, who will celebrate her 30-woman Royal Rumble match win from Saturday night. There's no word on if Rousey will announce her WrestleMania 38 opponent or not. If she's facing Charlotte Flair, I'm going to guarantee you it will be on SmackDown. Brock Lesnar will also be on tonight's Raw. Lesnar won the 30-man Royal Rumble match on Saturday night, and WWE has confirmed that he will pick his WrestleMania opponent tonight. New WWE champion Bobby Lashley will also appear tonight to celebrate his win over Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, made possible by Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. WWE noted that Lashley MVP will be on Raw to usher in the Almighty Era once again. And it was teased last week that another academic challenge between RK Bro and Raw Tag Team Championship champions Alpha Academy will take place tonight, but WWE has not officially announced the segment. That's everything that's going on. Make sure to check in with Legalo when he gives you the blunt ratings of what he thought of Raw. He watches it so you don't have to. So make sure to check it with him. Leave your comments in what you thought about everything going on in the news. What are your thoughts on the Royal Rumble? And I will see you on Wednesday. Till then, enjoy some wrestling, enjoy life, and peace.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to know when we go live next. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Wrestling on We, and thanks for watching.